Hey, what's up ladies and gents, SpoonyPizzas here with a brand new tutorial on FIFA 23. Now if you're coming from PES or eFootball and you're just fed up of that game and you want to try something new, then I'd recommend giving FIFA 23 a shot. It's not a bad game. Sure, you have to take the little arcadey aspects along with the gameplay, but you know, when you first start a career you get the choice to whether you want to create a new player or whether you want to create a new manager, and you can even play as a real manager. So you could have the likes of Pirlo, who is, you know, you could find him in the Turkish league if you wanted to have him as your manager of a club, or you can create a brand new manager yourself, putting yourself in the game. You can pick any one of these characters and then just give them a name. You can adjust their face, outfits, etc., and put yourself in the game along with your country and region. And then you get the choice of managing an authentic club or create your own club. So literally you just replace one of the clubs in any league and then you work your way up. So I'm going to choose an actual club, and here you got the team you want to pick and the league, and I'm going to select Manchester United as it's a well-known brand. They've got a nice little bit of information there about who Manchester United are, and gives you an idea of the transfer budget, the club worth, the ground, the home and away shirts. So if I select Manchester United, and then in this screen here we've got match difficulty, half length, currency, European competitions, so whether you receive an influx of cash, so this can be like 10 million, 50 million, 100 million, 200 million, 500 million, 1 billion. So if you wanted to go to Newcastle and just give yourself £1 billion budget, you can absolutely go ahead and do that. I recommend negotiation strictness is strict, so players don't go here, there and everywhere in the first season, because I've seen some serious movement if you don't set it to strict. So definitely make sure that's strict. And then you've obviously got international job offers and the transfer window, whether that's enabled or disabled. So after the managerial cutscene, you jump straight into the pre-season tournament invite. So this is an invitation to get an extra little bit of cash. Now what I'd recommend is actually skipping this, and you'll find out why in just a second. So press circle to skip. And why do I say this? It's because the training is so important in this game. So the first thing you want to do is set up your training schedule. And this is why you literally have to do or skip the competition, because this takes out the games. It allows your players to train, and you can boost up their match sharpness and fitness and basically make them better. What you get is these drills. You get dribbling maze, extreme hot potato, defenders and ours, and there's loads of them. So obviously you've got a different, you know, you can change the players, you can change the drill, you can simulate the drill or play. Once you get a certain grade, that is it. You can just simulate it from then on. So what you want to do is try and max out all of the training sessions. There's, I don't know, 20 or 30 different training sessions. So what I would say is maximize all these out. Try to hit A's if you can. The difficult ones you may find is the shooting, especially if you start with like a lower tier team, to try and get that A rating, because they just won't hit the target, as I found with my lowly rated players. I had a half-star team, so I didn't expect to hit the target all that often. So these were hard to get A's in at first. But yeah, basically do all the training sessions, max them all out. Make sure you've got the right players. Like I said, you can change the players to suit the drill you're doing. So if you're doing dribbling, then make sure you got good dribbling players. If you're doing a passing training session, make sure you got good passers. And obviously if you're doing a shooting training session, make sure you got people with good accuracy and finishing. Once you get A's, you can then start simulating. And then these drills are dead easy to do. All you have to do is just literally just dribble around the course, for example, just using left stick. Very fluid and not all that difficult at all. Like honestly, my 3-year-old son could do this, I believe. So especially if you've got a good team like Manchester United. Now just as I say that, I run out of play with the ball. Fantastic. Who the hell's this? Feels like not the best dribbler in the world. It's Sancho. Okay, looks like we just got one more to do here. This player feels nice. Don't even know who I've got on the ball here, to be honest. Pretty bad considering I'm a Manchester United fan, and that's a great shot. Hits the post, open goal. Won't be selecting him in the team anytime soon. So there you go. I got an A for that drill, and you can either then go to the next drill and do the same again. So once you have your training drills set up, the next thing you want to do is just press triangle on your controller. Now you might not see it because it's quite hidden away, but can you see advanced customization? Look at upcoming events, look all the way down, and then just under there it says advanced customization. Press triangle, and then you're going to get these messages here whether you can bypass them or stop. Now once you've done all your training and you've got it all set up and it's absolutely fine, you can then start to bypass the training. It will give them an A grade once you've reached that A grade, because you can see here, continue advancing. When you reach a training day, training sessions will be simulated at the best grade, achieve them. So even though you're bypassing it, you are getting the maximum benefit of that training. As for email messages, I would always leave this as stop, because that's important. Now what you want to do is go to weekly schedule, and this is how you want to set up your calendar. So On the right hand side, you can see schedule rules. You want rest day, recovery day, intermittent training. This ensures the sort of best results for training, in my opinion. This means your players aren't going to be too tired during match day, and they're going to be given time to get their sharpness up at the same time. What I would recommend is setting up 2 team sheets, which I'm going to cover next. So if we go to squad, we can go to team sheets. Now you can create multiple tactics, and I could just create a new team sheet and create a formation and some tactics, and I'm going to show you that a little bit more in depth in a bit. But you can import team sheets from an entire different club. So if you like the Liverpool gegenpress style, you can select Liverpool, and there we have it. So we've imported the Liverpool tactics here. We can then back out and save changes, and then we can bounce between the Manchester United default and the Liverpool default. Now what I would recommend is obviously setting up a formation first and foremost, okay, and then you create a new team sheet, but you copy exactly the same one as you've just had, the default formation. Why do you do this? Well, what you do is you put in your alternate team. You put in your weak players that you're going to play in cup matches. So then you've got an FA Cup squad, you might have a Carabao Cup squad, you might have a Manchester United default team squad for your big matches, and then you can just flick between the 3 without having to change all the players manually for every single game. When it does come to tactics, there's plenty that you can do. Obviously, you just press the square button on your controller and you can move your player around just like so, changing their position. It can be a little bit fiddly to try and get defensive midfielders because you have to drop them right back until it says RDM. So yeah, you might have to drop the centre backs back a little bit to fit them in. It's kind of annoying in my opinion, but that's just the way the game is. You've obviously got formations, so you can quickly change formations on the fly. We've got tactics. We can change the style of the tactic, balanced, pressure on heavy touch, press after possession loss, constant pressure, drop back, balanced, and you can change the width of your defense, how deep your defense are dropping off. You can change the offensive style of play, so whether it's a slow build up, fast build up, long ball, or balanced. I tend to go for fast build up with forward runs. I tend to find that helps get my players forward quickly. You can go for direct passing or balanced. Again, it's entirely up to you how you want to play. You can set the width, so whether you want players nice and very narrow or whether you want to be really expansive and attack down the wings maybe. We got the number of players in the box when you are creating chances. So do you want your midfielders break into the box and try and get on the end of crosses? And then you've got obviously the amount of players for corners and free kicks going into the box as well. So obviously if you do overcommit, you could be susceptible to the counter attack. Then we have roles, so captains and free kick takers and corner kick takers. And then finally instructions. These are really important actually because this allows you to define each and every role. So if we wanted to, we can select Marcus Rashford. We can say, actually, do you know what? I want you to drift wide, or you want him to stay central, or maybe you want a bit of both. So you can tell him to stay central. We can tell him to get in behind, target man, or even drop off the attack as a false 9. And you can do that with literally every position, and they do differ depending on the position. So you can see the fullbacks have got overlap, whereas Marcus Rashford obviously wouldn't have overlap because he's a striker. Or you can have them inverted, so you can have false fullbacks. This customization is brilliant because it allows you to do so much with each and every player and have the tactics that you want for yourself going forward. Squad Hub, this is one of the critical ones for me personally because this allows you to set up your training in the development. So we've got the status of the player, whether they're happy. To be honest, I don't really check this screen all that much. Stats are fine if you want to look at the end of the season to see who scored the most goals and who had the most assists, but the development tab is the most important. Now what you want to do is select a player and go to development plan. There's a lot you can do here in the Squad Hub, so you can add them to transfer list, you can add players to loan list, you can block offers from clubs to stop them signing your players. Development plan we're going to look at just a second. Team sheets, team management, change the kit number, you can release the player, delegate renewal, so that allows your second in command to take control of the contract negotiations, and then you've got contract negotiation where you actually do it yourself. Like I said, go into development plan, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky of understanding what's going on here. So the yellow lines mean that David De Gea is 31 years old. He's not going to get any better, and we're going to see that in just a second when we move to the next player. So he is getting at an age where he's going to start deteriorating. Because the yellow lines indicate what you're going to prevent deteriorating, and because it's yellow, it means it's going to deteriorate. It's still going to deteriorate, but it's going to deteriorate at a slower rate because you've selected balance. If you select the goalkeeper, that means the diving and the goalkeeper reflexes deteriorate slowly, but the rest will deteriorate pretty quickly as well. So best to leave this balanced in my opinion. And if I press right bumper, we can move to the next player. If I just move on to Malaysia now you can see, like, if I switch position, if I leave it at balance, he gets 2s for most things, 2s and 1s. But what I'd recommend is using these down here. Why do I say that? Because in the top right hand corner, if you just look at the top right corner, weak foot, you want to try and boost that. You want to try and boost the attacking work rate. You know, you just try and boost all of these in the top right corner, just making sure that the arrows down the bottom are giving you the maximum benefit. So the more arrows you got, the better and faster the development's going to have. And obviously focus in areas that you want. So if you want speed, maybe go for it, and you want crossing and you want vision, then maybe attacking wide back would be better. If you wanted crossing and long passing, then maybe wide back is better. So take a look at what you want. Make sure you try and get the most amount of arrows for your player. So attacking wide back, we've got three arrow stats, whereas wide back, we've only got 2 3-arrow stats. We've got 1 3-arrow stat there for vision, for inverted wide back, and for defensive wide back, we've just got another one for heading accuracy. So the one I would go for here is probably attacking wide back, because that offers the most amount of benefit. It's boosting his work or attacking work rate from medium to high. So definitely work on that one there. And literally you just do that for all of your players. And finally, the last thing I want to point out is that you can change any player's position. So if I'm playing wing backs and I want to change Malacia to a wing back, for example, I can just press right trigger and that will take me to this stage here. So if I want to train him as a right wing back or a left wing back, then I can absolutely do that. And in the very top it says how long it's going to take. So it's going to take him 2 weeks to convert from a left back to a left wing back. Obviously, the more the extreme position change, the longer it's going to take. So if I want him to be a right midfielder, it's going to take 110 weeks. So a left wing back change isn't going to take all that long. But once the 2 weeks are up, you'll probably get an email from your coach to say Malacia has now been changed to a left wing back. You'll have to then go back into this development tab. You may see a green tick to say these players have been fully trained in that position. So you just literally go in, select the player, go to development plan, and then press triangle to convert him to the left wing back position. And then again, you just want to go back in and change and set his training schedule. Once you have set up your squad hub, like I said, just go in and make sure you transfer list and load list any players you want to offload. Then we have the financial tab, which is quite useful for keeping an eye on contracts and just making sure no players are going to expire anytime soon. So obviously maybe we want to focus on David De Gea, Luke Shaw, offering them new contracts and so on and so forth. So you don't want players expiring, and there's a lot of players here on 1-year contracts, so you want to pick and choose and see who you want to obviously renew their contract and try and negotiate better deals for yourself. Don't be too soft in negotiations. Be sure to, haggle your way, but don't try to take the piss too much, because you will get left with the door slammed firmly in your face if you upset them. And the beauty about this is you can filter on any of these fields, which is really useful, because sometimes you may want to offload a player and find a player that's going to get you some serious cash back before he gets too old. They will diminish with their age in terms of, well, their value will diminish with their age. So just make sure that you offload players in good time. I would say around 31, 32 for most players is a good marker. But like I said, you can filter it by the wage or the value of the player. Look at both of those, because both of those are considered to go back into your budget. So if I was to, obviously here, Casemiro is my highest earner and offers the most value. So if I was to offload him, I'd be getting quite a big chunk of budget back into my finances. Youth Academy. So this is a list of players who are currently in your youth squad. We've got overall, we've got potential, and then we've got plan. Again, set up the plans for all of these players, much like you did for your other players. Try to leave your young players in this squad as much as possible, because they will develop faster than if they're in your senior squad. You will generally get a warning via email to say, oh, this player is unsettled, he's going to be looked to be signed away or whatever, or look for a new signing, or look for a new club because he wants to start playing football. Basically, at that point, you then want to promote them if they're any worth. How do you know if they're any worth? Well, you can see over here, we've got the overall in this category, and we got the potential. So obviously, this is probably our best player in terms of potential, 76 to 94, and he's 70 rated overall already. So make sure I train him up correctly. He's got 5-star skill moves, so he could look pretty tasty, to be honest, if we give him enough time. So that's how I would base it. Anyone that's just not going to live up to standard, or you just want to offload, just press X and then you can release the youth player. Okay, so back on this screen here on the central tab, I just want to talk to you about objectives. So these critical ones you have to be doing, okay? And these high ones. The only ones you can sort of leave is medium and below, but make sure you are working your way towards them, or have a really, really strong domestic success in terms of like winning the league or getting promoted. Because even if the medium ones, I came across, I had a moderate confidence rating from the board just for getting promoted, but I failed to meet one medium target. So it was moderate. They gave me a moderate rating, which is not great. So make sure you do these critical ones. As for transfers, so we can set up scouts. We've got scouts reports. So once your scouts do come back with any information, we can see here that Vardy's been completely mapped out. We know his athleticism, his shooting ability. If you're not sure of a player, you'll get this, where it sort of gives you stats in between. It'll say 67 to 77 athleticism. So somewhere between 80 and 90 for acceleration, somewhere between 74 and 84 for agility, so on and so forth. So from there, you can ask him to, you can grab a scout usually and ask him to scout him further. You can shortlist them in the transfer hub. So if you are really interested in that player, I definitely recommend shortlisting them. That just keeps a track of them and also notifies you if any other clubs are interested in that player. You can search for players based on name, position, country, and always have a look and dab in the free agents, because sometimes you can find a hidden gem in here, especially some youngsters after the first season or second season. To be honest, I would avoid signing youngsters because sometimes you get some absolute godly youngsters in there, but it's entirely up to you. It's your career, it's your mode, however you want to play it. But I personally would avoid those because it just takes away a little bit of the fun. Obviously, you don't really have any relationship with that player. You don't watch them in real life. They're just a created regen, and in my opinion, I would focus on signing real life players who really excite you and build your squad that way. Transfer hub. So like I said, once you've got players in here, you can keep an eye on them. You can make offers for them once you've added them to the transfer hub. You can apply for loan deals. You can delegate the transfer negotiations to your second in command as well. Then we have youth staff. So here we can set up a scouting network to go to a various part of the world. Maybe we want them to go to Spain. Basically, the more money you're spending, the better the players are going to be. Now, with scouts, you've got experience and judgment. Experience means like how many players they can gather in a pool. So how many players they'll drag in at a time. And then judgment is how good that player will generally be. So try to have 5-star scouts with 5-star judgment, in my opinion. But if you have to have 5 stars of either experience or judgment, I personally would go for judgment, because it's better to have a smaller pool of great players than a large pool of good to great players. But like I said, depends where you go. Like if I go to Africa, it's only going to cost me 180,000, so chances are those players aren't going to be good. Again, if I send them to Asia, £60,000, and again Australia, £60,000. So just make sure you send your scouts to Northern Europe, Central Europe, Southern Europe, and also South America. In Office now, the finances have changed in FIFA 23. Now you just have an overall budget, which is found on basically the last tab that you're seeing here. So you can see my current budget is 210 million. And this, before they used to have like a budget and a salary budget, they've basically merged that all in together. And now you've got one budget, and that will be drained from as you sign players. So once you get your scout reports back, as you can see here, we found 2 players. The potential 56 to 74 and 59 to 81 isn't great, and their overalls pretty dire, 29 to 39. I probably wouldn't sign these players. You get a good idea of value as well. I would say if you're in EFL Division 2, you're looking at around 200, 300,000 pounds worth of value. They might be worth promoting, but once you get to the Premier League, you're looking at 500k to $1 million before they be any use to you. So just take a look at that if you want any idea of just how far you think that player will actually go. And you'll probably notice by the positions down in the map, they're not entirely sure where they actually belong and play. Again, if you had better scouts, I've only got very, very weak scouts, to be honest. This one isn't too bad as 4-star, but they generally don't really know where they're actually going to be assigned to. So this player could be a defender across the back line, anywhere, right back, centre back, left back, or he could be a left midfielder as well. So take that into consideration. Again, what I tend to do here is have a quick look at the potential first and foremost. If I see anything plus 70 to 90s, that's when I take a real good look at the player. I look at his age, I look at the overall rating, 47 to 63. He looks pretty good. And then what I could do is just sign the player if I had the value to actually bring him in. I don't think I've actually got 325k on this squad, so I can't bring him in, but that just gives you an idea of just how the youth squad works. That's when he drops into that pot of players, which I showed you earlier. This one right here. So this is where if I did sign that player, he would drop into this pot of players, and then I could look to nurture him and make him hopefully a first teamer with good training. In my opinion, definitely give this a shot, and hopefully these tips are definitely going to help you. And if you want to join me for my Bridgewater United Master League, feel free to do so. I'm usually streaming Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you guys then. Until next time, guys, take care. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.